Nobody knows the trouble I've seen. Nobody knows but Jesus. Nobody knows the trouble I've seen. Glory, hallelujah. Sometimes I'm up, sometimes I'm down. Oh, yes, Lord. Sometimes I'm almost to the ground. Oh, yes, Lord. Nobody knows the trouble I've seen. Nobody knows but Jesus. Nobody knows the trouble I've seen. Glory, hallelujah. Now you may think that I don't know. Oh, yes, Lord. But I've had troubles here below. Oh, yes, Lord. Nobody knows the trouble I've seen. Nobody knows but Jesus. Nobody knows the trouble I've seen. Glory, hallelujah. Sometimes I'm up, sometimes I'm down. Oh, yes, Lord. Sometimes I'm almost to the ground. Oh, yes, Lord. Nobody knows the trouble I've seen. Nobody knows but Jesus. Nobody knows the trouble I've seen. Glory, hallelujah. One day when I was walking along, oh yes, Lord, the sky opened up and love came down. Oh yes, Lord. Nobody knows the trouble I've seen. Nobody knows but Jesus. Nobody knows the trouble I've seen. Glory, hallelujah. I never shall forget the day. Oh, yes, Lord. When Jesus washed my sins away. Oh, yes, Lord. Last time, everybody. Nobody knows the trouble I've seen. Nobody knows but Jesus. Nobody knows the trouble I've seen. Glory, hallelujah. Nobody knows, or Harvey knows. Yeah, maybe Harvey knows. Hello, everybody. Good evening. I am Ethan. This is there it is, the nosho. There, that's my name, Ethan Hirschenfeld. Welcome to the nosho for Saturday night, the 20th of July, 2024. How does Jesus know? Asks Nancy. Nobody knows. Nobody knows but Jesus. I don't know, but according to the song, um, he's the only one who knows. So I don't know how he knows. We're gonna have to find another song that explains how he knows. I think it probably has something to do with the concept of omniscience. Omniscience being the quality or state of knowing everything. So Jesus being omniscient, he knows the trouble you've seen. Nobody knows the trouble I've seen. Nobody knows but Jesus. I think if I had a downtrodden or troubled mien or mean, I don't know how to say that word, but if I had a troubled mean or mien or meow while singing that, I think that that's 100% appropriate. That is the emotional tenor of the song, as far as I can tell. Well, it's got a chiaroscuro yin yang because he's troubled, but then he's relieved by the fact that Jesus knows how troubled he is. So yeah, there's the trouble and there's the salvation. I never shall forget that day. Oh, yes, Lord, when Jesus washed my sins away. Oh, yes, Lord. Nobody knows the trouble I've seen. Good evening, everybody. I'm going to say hello to everybody one by one. One by one. Hello, Richard. Hello, Dawn. Hello, Karen. Hello, Neuro. Hello, Jill. Hello. Hello. Hello, Max. Hello, Bob. What's up? Hello, Mom. Hello, Mila. Hello, Nancy. Hello, Bella Lune. Guarda la bella luna. Guarda la bella luna. Look at the beautiful moon. I think possibly one of the first phrases I ever learned in Italian was Guarda la bella luna. Look at the beautiful moon. Why did I learn that phrase? Some people I knew saw the movie Moonstruck, and I think they were quoting someone in that movie saying, Guarda la bella luna. Look at the beautiful moon. So we have our audience member, Bella Lune. Sounds like you have West Coast. Hello, Dave. Oh, the West Coast is here. Hello, West Coast. Hello, Dave and Ellie. Nice to see you. He's checked in. Bob, Moon in Lake Michigan. Is that a song? Moon in Lake Michigan? I like that. There's a Zen story. There's a Zen koan. It's either a story or a koan about the moon, about pointing at the moon. Um, it's about the finger and the moon. I think it has something to do with if someone points at the moon and you just look at their finger, you're missing the point. Well, you're actually looking at the point, but you're missing the point. If someone points at the moon and you look at the finger, you're missing the point. There's some Zen koan. Let's read about that. Never mistake the finger for the moon. The Buddha, this is from a website called Mindful Ambition. The Buddha once said to imagine someone is trying to show you the moon by pointing at it. The pointing finger is what guides you to the moon. Without the finger, you might not notice the moon. But the pointing finger isn't what matters most. It only matters because it helps you to see the moon for yourself, which is why the Buddha also warned us not to mistake the finger for the moon. This explanation is a little bit solipsistic. It's a little bit of the snake eating its own tail. It doesn't quite close the circle. Oh, well, here we go. Now it explains it. It's a little bit long-winded, but we get the point. There are things that people try to help us see, and they use certain techniques, images, metaphors props to help us see those things. And it's important to not get too fixated on the props. That would be, I think, idolatry in a way. You could see how someone, for example, could fixate on, let's say, the holy book. Let's fixate on the holy book itself and treat this holy book as a holy object. When in fact the book isn't holy. If anything is holy, if you believe in what's holy, it's the message of the words therein. So we can get very fixated on all of the trappings. I think that's where the concept of perversity or perversion comes from, in the sense of like human sexuality. If, like, let's say a certain garment you found very arousing or attractive, and you became so fixated on that garment, and then all of your erotic energy was focused on that garment and not on the person wearing the garment, that's a fetish. That's when you fetishize something. That's a perversion of a more, let's say possibly healthy, if we want to think of it in terms of positives and negatives. It may be a healthier expression of human sexuality to be interested in the person rather than the, I don't know, the boot or the hair clip, whatever thing you might be really turned on by. Similarly, if you believe, let's say, in the ultimate truth of spending your life being good to other people, that's a very important, I think, worthwhile goal and North Star to always be focused on. Let's focus on. You can wake up every morning and say, I'm going to be good to people, including myself. Now, if you happen to have a book that teaches that, that's great. That's a good book. But let's not mistake that important message for the book. The book is just a book. The book is a book. That would be like mistaking, I'm going to keep going with this. That would be like mistaking the instruction manual from the Whirlpool company for the washing machine. You can't wash your clothes in the instruction manual. The instruction manual will not help you at all. And you can't chew on the cookbook. You cannot chew on the cookbook. You can if you're a cow. If you have a digestive system, if you have an alimentary canal, if you have a digestive apparatus that allows you to digest and metabolize cellulose, you might be able to get some nutritional value out of a cookbook if it was printed on the right material. Actually, if it was printed on parchment, if you had an ancient cookbook that was printed on parchment, we humans might be able to glean some nutritional value from that. Like you could cook that, like let's say you had instead of a cookbook, you had a cook scroll and it was made of deer parchment. You could cook that and make a soup out of it and drink it, and you could probably get a few calories, maybe a couple of strands of protein out of that soup. But if you were to use that ancient cookbook and gather the ingredients and then cook according to that and then eat that meal, pretty sure you'd get more nutritional value and more culinary enjoyment and gustatory enjoyment out of your experience. What am I saying? Don't mistake the finger for the moon. Sometimes I'm up, sometimes I'm down. Oh, yes, Lord. Sometimes I'm halfway to the ground. Oh, yes, Lord. Nobody knows the trouble I've seen. Nobody knows but Jesus. Nobody knows. Yes, Neuro, don't mistake the map for the territory. Another very apt analogy. The map is not the territory, unless you're talking about the map in the fantastic joke from 1982 by the comedian Stephen Wright, who said that he had an atlas of the United States where 1 inch equaled 1 inch. That was the scale of the map. 1 inch equals 1 inch. So that map happens to be a map that is the size of the United States. One of his many, many smart jokes from circa 40 years ago. Nobody knows the trouble I've seen. Nobody knows but Jesus. You know what? The person singing this song, they could use a good friend, because maybe Jesus is the only one who saw the trouble, but you can always talk about your trouble to a friend, to a therapist, to a loved one, to a stranger. You could blog about it. You could blog about your troubles. And then it wouldn't just be Jesus who knows your troubles. You can share your troubles. And in sharing them, you can dilute them so they don't go away, but maybe the flavor of your troubles will get less potent. Nobody knows. Bonsoir, Leslie. Ça va? Bienvenue. Welcome to the show. Welcome to the nosho. Oh, nobody knows. My spatial orientations. I'm trying to point to my name. Beep, 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 beep. There we go. Ethan, that's me. This is the No Show for July 20th. Welcome. You can tell your troubles with your dog, absolutely, if your dog is a good listener. You know, the dog trainer, we were there today, the wonderful Paul Chianto. No, Chiano. Yo, Donald, Sacramento. So we have SoCal, and now we have NoCal. And we have LoCal also, for anyone who's on a calorie restricted diet. We have NoCal, SoCal, and LoCal in the audience. Nice to see everybody. So the dog trainer, Paul, he advocates talking a lot to your dog as part of your, oh, this is his great line. He says, emotion travels down the leash. So the dog knows what you're feeling. And one way to what's the word I'm looking for? One way to strengthen that line of communication between you and your dog, the emotions running down the leash, is to talk a lot. And you can communicate even more of your emotion. So we learned something interesting today. And we ran up against, oh, you're listening in the car. Okay, keep your eyes on the road and keep one of your ears on the road, one of your ears on this show. Drive safely. One of the things we learned is, so we have lie down. We have the 1 minute sit. 1 minute sit is important. It's good for humans also, if you can get yourself to just sit for 1 minute before you get the command, okay, that's the command we use. Okay, meaning you can now get up. The 1 minute sit. So one thing we ran up against something that Hildy is not yet trained at. I was going to say she's not good at it. It's not that she's not good at it. It's just I take full responsibility. We haven't trained her yet at this. The 1 minute down. So lie down. She's good at lying down, but then she wants to get up pretty quickly and go on to the next activity. But to get her to lie down in a full lie down and stay there for a minute. So Paul showed me you have to keep giving treats while she's in that lie down to keep her there, and then work in that command of the hand, like this, like a sort of a stop, and then a lot of praise. Nancy says, I talk to my dog, but she still gets panicky. Oh, yeah. Well, that is the most challenging thing. And actually, Paul talked about that because he works with dogs who suffered sort of traumatic stuff. Yeah, if you have a dog that's been through some heavy stuff, some mistreatment, yeah. So patience, persistence, and practice. That's the other thing that Paul advocates. The 3 Ps of dog training. And I think it applies to human training also, training ourselves, training our own minds. Patience, persistence, practice. Patience. So like if the dog's pulling, this is a great thing he teaches. Don't pull back on the leash. Do not pull back. Just wait them out. You can use a treat, get their attention, get them back. But don't pull back because then they think it's a game and you're just pulling each other. So anyway, all of these concepts are pretty straightforward, easier said than done, and they take patience, persistence, and practice. Hoofa. Nobody knows the trouble I've seen. It's a funny title for a song about the fact that Jesus knows. Isn't that? The title and the first lyrics are nobody knows. But in fact, the message of the song is that somebody knows. It's sort of like that phrase I was critiquing earlier, which is a few shows ago, maybe a month ago, where I was critiquing the phrase, I can't recommend it highly enough. It's one of those kind of phrases. It's a real curveball. The phrase begins, I can't recommend it. But in fact, you are recommending it. But the phrase goes, I can't recommend it highly enough. You got to wait for the punchline. Similarly, in this song, you have to wait for the punchline. Nobody knows, except somebody does know. There's our A minor 7, also known as a C6. Oh yes, Richard says, I thought Father knows best. Yes, Fred McMurray. Da 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 ba da 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 ba da 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 ba da 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 ba dee da da. Fred McMurray. I like that. I like that show. There was that feeling as a kid in the 70s, if you saw a show from the decade earlier, it felt very, very old and antique. Seeing those early 60s, or maybe it was, maybe all my sons, or no, my 3 sons, maybe that was late 50s, but whatever it was, it felt so old and dusty already. Ba-da-da-da, da-da-da-da. Oh, that's right. My 3 sons is, yeah. Father Knows Best was Robert Young. Oh, that one I almost never watched. That one was a little bit somber. Yes, that's My 3 Sons. Good point. Good point. And then All My Sons is Arthur Miller. All right. Here's a song I haven't done in a little while. 5'2", eyes are blue, but oh, what those 5 foot could do. That's my thing in that song. It's foot. Instead of feet, it's foot. But oh, what those 5 foot could do. Has anybody seen my gal? Turned up nose, turned down hose, never had no other beaux. Anybody seen my gal? Now, if you run into a 5'2", covered with fur, so like Sasquatch, diamond rings and all those things, bet your life it isn't her. But could she love? Could she woo? Could she coo? Has anybody seen my gal? 5'2", eyes are blue, but oh, what those 5 foot could do. Has anybody seen my gal? Turned up nose, turned down hose, never had no other beaux. Oh, turned up nose, turned down hose. That's what we were talking about earlier, fetish. That's a popular fetish item. You know, too fixated on an item of clothing. Turned up nose, turned down hose, never had no other beaux. Has anybody seen my gal? Now, if you run into a 5'2", covered with fur, diamond rings and all those things, bet your life it isn't her. But could you love? Could you? Could you? Anybody seen my furries? That's funny. Yeah, furries. Is that what they call furries or plushies? Plushies? Mixed jet. Oh, you miss nothing. You miss nothing. This was all just warm up. Here comes the show. Oh, shoot, I'm late. Furries. I guess furries, yeah, that's a thing. That's a fetish or whatever that is. That's not specific to one item of clothing, but that's like a whole thing where you dress up as a, not judging, whatever you're into. I think it was Madonna who said, whatever you're into, as long as no one gets hurt. To which I would add, and even if someone does get hurt, as long as they're having fun. La da 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 ba 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 da ba da 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 da. You make a very good point, Richard. I think it was Richard. Um, Someone made the point that, or maybe it was Neuro. Maybe it was the collective um, consciousness, the Jungian collective consciousness of our audience that made the point that, yeah, it's easier to lose your girl if she's only 5'2". So maybe you should date someone a little taller. Maybe it's your fault. Music by Ray Henderson, words by Joe Young and Sam Lewis, 1925. This song is 99 years old, if you do the math. If you don't do the math, then it's as old as you want it to be. I want more to high from regular show suit. I don't know what that means, but I like the sound of it. Exactly, Jill. Consent is important. That's what I'm saying. As long as nobody gets hurt, and even if somebody does, if they're having fun. In other words, if they consent to it. 5'2", eyes are blue, but oh, what those 5 foot could do. Has anybody seen my gal? Where's my gal? Turned up nose, turned down hose, never had no other beaux. Has anybody seen my gal? Now, if you run into a 5'2", covered with fur, covered with fur. Again, she's not covered with fur, she's wearing a fur coat. Some people misunderstand this song and they think it's about the abominable snowman or about Sasquatch or Bigfoot or about, a bear or someone. No, it's just a woman wearing a fur coat. Covered with fur, diamond rings, and all those things. Bet your life it isn't her. But could she love? Could she woo? Could she coo? Has anybody seen my gal? Has anybody seen my gal? Nothing you can do take me away from my gal. Is that the same gal from that song? Somebody in the town, my gal. That's Motown, right? My gal. There's definitely some overlap with that song. Has anybody seen my gal? Oh, it's My Guy, that song. It's Smokey Robinson, 1964. So that song is 39 years later. No one saw your gal, but Smokey Robinson knows where to find your guy. Nothing you could say. Nothing you could say could tear me away from my guy. Nothing you could do, 'cause I'm stuck to you, to my guy. I'm thinking like a hose and stick together on the day by day by day. I gotta learn that song. I mean, I gotta learn the melody and all that. I just was looking at the chords, but that's a nice one. Nothing you could do, nothing you could do could make me untrue to my guy. Nothing you could buy could make me tell a lie to my guy. That means nothing you could buy could make me tell a lie. So not corrupt. That's nice. I gave my guy da da dee da da da. Da 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 dee da. Ja da 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 dee da 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 dee da da dee do 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 do. All right, I'm doing that song tomorrow night. I'm gonna learn it and do that tomorrow night. I like that one. Smokey. I met Smokey once. I think I probably mentioned this, but it was an event right outside the courthouse in downtown Brooklyn. It was September 7th, 2009, I believe. He was addressing a meeting, kind of rally for survivors of drug addiction. He was addressing them, and I don't know why I knew someone there, so somehow I ended up backstage, and I got to meet Smokey Robinson, which was just unbelievably cool as hell. He was incredibly youthful and charismatic, an incredible smile, just like you'd expect. Smokey. I remember that ad there was a K-Tel Records ad where a parent knocks on the door and says, "Turn down that music," and then the kid in the ad says, "But Dad, it's Smokey." Anyone remember that ad? But Dad, it's Smokey. Yeah, I met Smokey. Yeah, I met Smokey Robinson. Yeah, I met him. I got to meet him 15 years ago. Na, 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 na. Oh gosh, I saw a video of him recently speaking at someone's funeral, a fellow artist. I'm not sure who it was, but it was so beautiful. It was so beautiful the eulogy he gave, and then he broke out into song, and he was talking about growing up in Detroit with that artist. I'm gonna have to look up who that was I'm gonna do this song tomorrow night. Yeah, the time flew by. Thank you, Dave. I thought that also tonight. The time flew by, and I appreciate your eyes and your ears. This has been the No Show for the 20th of July, 2024. I did not swim today. I took the day off because of the tides, which wait for no man or woman. But tomorrow I'll be back in the water. And yes, warp speed and Godspeed to everybody. Moon of Alabama. Okay, I'm going to look up some more Moon songs. Okay, everybody, thank you very much for tuning in, and please share this. Please hit the like button. Please share this. Please subscribe. Please hit the alert button so you know when I'm going live. There's a little icon of a bell. You can click on that, and you'll get a notice every time I go live. Although it's no secret, I'm here every night at 9. Every night at 9 for the No Show. Thank you very much. Good night and hasta mañana.